Today, we're jumping into something that's frankly going to be one of the most important disciplines for your entire business: multi-agent orchestration, or MAO for short. Look, it's not enough to just have AI agents anymore. The real magic happens when you make them work together like a world-class team. So let's get into how it's actually done. So why are we talking about this right now? Well, take a look at this number. We're talking about a projected market size of nearly $28.5 billion for agentic AI orchestration by 2030. That's not just growth, folks. That is an absolute explosion. This number is a giant flashing sign that says massive opportunity for anyone who gets this right, and, well, a huge risk for those who don't. And this isn't some far-off future thing. The race is already on, and it's happening fast. An incredible 73% of companies are already using AI agents or are actively getting ready to roll them out. So you got to ask yourself, the question isn't if your competition is building AI teams, it's how well are they designing them to work together. Knowing this stuff, understanding orchestration, has become a straight-up competitive necessity. Okay, so let's make sure we're all on the same page. What is multi-agent orchestration really? Well, think of it as the art and science of building systems where you have a bunch of different specialized AI agents, and they can all collaborate to pull off something that none of them could ever do on their own. It's about creating synergy. It's about making the whole greater than the sum of its parts. I love this analogy. Let's think of MAO as the unseen architect, right? You could have the most brilliant AI workers on the planet, but without a solid blueprint, without the right orchestration pattern, all their effort is just chaos. It's a pile of rubble. But with the right blueprint, well, then they can build skyscrapers of efficiency and innovation for you. So let's pop open that architect's toolkit, shall we? We're about to walk through the 8 fundamental blueprints, the core patterns that you can use to design exactly how your AI agents collaborate. And you'll see each one is built for a very different kind of job. First up, we've got the most straightforward pattern of them all: sequential. Just think of a digital assembly line. It's exactly what it sounds like. Each agent does one specific task, and then it passes its work on to the next agent in a nice, clean line. Super linear, super predictable. But, and this is a big but, this pattern comes with a major trade-off. Its biggest strength is its simplicity. That makes it perfect for really defined workflows, like processing documents or running data pipelines. The big weakness, though? It's brittle. If one single agent in that line breaks down, the whole process just stops, dead in its tracks. Okay, let's move on to our next set of patterns. These are all about control and command. We're going to see how this idea builds up from a single manager to a whole chain of command by comparing the supervisor and hierarchical patterns. This chart just lays it out so clearly. On one side, you've got the supervisor pattern. It's basically a manager-worker setup. One central agent calls the shots, assigns the tasks. It's awesome for things like customer service bots where you need tight control. Then you have the hierarchical pattern. That's a full-on multi-level chain of command, which is incredibly scalable for those huge enterprise-level projects. But here's the key takeaway for you as a leader. The supervisor can become a bottleneck, and the hierarchy can be really rigid and slow to change. It's a classic trade-off. All right, next up are patterns that are designed for real, honest-to-goodness teamwork. This is where agents don't just follow orders, they actually work together. And we're going to look at 2 really cool ways they can do that: by building consensus directly or by working off a shared space of knowledge. So you can see 2 totally different styles here. The collaborative pattern, think of it like a big board meeting. All the agents get in a room, they have different points of view, and they debate it out until they all agree. It's fantastic for getting really robust solutions when you're brainstorming or validating research. The downside can be slow and chew up a lot of computing power. Then you have the blackboard pattern. This is more like a shared whiteboard. Agents pop in, post their findings, see what other agents have written, and build on that. It's way more flexible and lets new ideas just kind of emerge. Perfect for things like knowledge curation. Now let's look at 2 patterns that are laser-focused on one thing, and one thing only: getting the absolute best possible answer. They get there in different ways. One is like a debate, the other is more like a vote, but the goal is to refine and perfect that final output. This is such a fascinating contrast in strategy, isn't it? The competitive pattern literally pits agents against each other. It's like having 2 lawyers argue a case. They stress test every idea, poke holes in every argument, and in doing so, they strip out a ton of bias. Incredibly useful for something like legal analysis. The ensemble pattern takes a completely different road. It gets a whole bunch of different agents to make a prediction, and then it uses a voting system to figure out the most accurate result.
It's an absolute powerhouse for improving accuracy in things like financial modeling.
And finally, our last category of patterns. This one tackles a challenge that every single business on Earth faces. How do you allocate resources efficiently? How do you decide which agent gets to do which task? Well, these patterns actually use economic ideas to solve the problem.
So check this out. The marketplace pattern creates a little internal free market. Your agents actually bid for tasks or for resources. It's a brilliant idea because it means your resources are always being allocated dynamically to wherever they're needed most, with maximum efficiency. This is a total game changer for really complex real-time systems like logistics and supply chain, where everything is changing by the second.
Okay, so we've seen the 8 blueprints, we've seen the toolkit, but what does it all mean? How does this stuff go from a cool architectural diagram to actually impacting your company's bottom line? Let's connect the dots to real business value.
When you boil it all down, the value of multi-agent orchestration is actually beautifully simple. It lets you take a massive, hairy, complex business problem, break it down into smaller, manageable chunks, assign each of those chunks to a specialized AI expert, and then coordinate all their work to get a far better outcome. It's really the ultimate strategy for mastering complexity.
And hey, the results really do speak for themselves. When you get this right, when you orchestrate your agent systems well, you see these huge wins in 3 key areas. Your operational efficiency goes through the roof because you're automating complex workflows. Scalability, a huge one, suddenly becomes achievable. And maybe the most important of all, your systems become way more resilient because if one agent fails, it doesn't take down the whole ship.
Now, let's take a quick peek over the horizon, because this field is moving at an absolutely incredible pace. The patterns we've just talked about, they're the foundation, but the future of orchestration is already starting to take shape with some really exciting new trends.
So, what's coming next? Well, right now we're already seeing the rise of hybrid models. People are mixing and matching these patterns to get the best of all worlds. In the near future, the big push is going to be on better communication standards, so agents from totally different systems can work together. And if you look even further out, we're talking about integrating things like blockchain for trust and security and explainable AI, so we can actually understand why these complex systems are making the decisions they're making.
So I'll just leave you with this final thought to chew on. As your company builds more and more with AI agents, and trust me, it will, the most critical question you can ask isn't what are they doing, it's how are they doing it together. Who in your organization is the architect? Who's thinking strategically and designing the blueprint for how they all collaborate? Because the answer to that question, well, that's what's going to define your success in the age of AI. Thank you for joining the podcast, and see you soon.